Hey folks, I'm Sam Faddis. This is Ground Truth. I'm going to take a stab today at outlining at least three lessons I think we should learn from the Ukraine conflict. And no, you didn't miss something. A peace deal has not been announced yet, but I think it is clear that we are coming to the end of this and there will be an agreement. And finally, this conflict will come to a close. So what are the takeaways? Well, first, the Russians have been exposed. Anybody who thought that the Red Army that defeated Hitler in 1945 still existed has been disabused of that notion. The Russians have lost virtually every modern main battle tank they had at the beginning of the conflict. They have pulled 40 and 50-year-old tanks out of mothballs, tanks that were obsolete way back when I was a lieutenant in the United States Army, and they've lost almost all of those. So, a horrible price has been paid. Ukraine is going to lose some territory, but everybody can now see what the reality is, and that Russia is greatly diminished. Second, I think it's fair to say that Zelensky overplayed his hand. He was arrogant. He thought people would continue to write checks forever, that we would back him forever, no matter what. And he's now had to confront the reality, which is that if the United States doesn't support him, he is doomed. And therefore, at the end of the day, whether he likes it or not, he's going to sign a deal and bring this thing to an end. One expects that when the dust settles here, he will not be in power very much longer in Ukraine, because the people will see the same thing, the price they have paid for his arrogance. But here's the third takeaway, which I guess is the biggest one for us in the United States. Trump is right about the fact that this entire conflict could have been avoided, should have been avoided. And we need to understand what that means so we don't make the same mistake going forward. NATO and the United States pushed closer and closer to Moscow over a great many years and made all sorts of statements, very expansive statements, careless statements, that any Russian leader, whether he was Putin or anybody else, would have found really, really alarming. This prospect of an ever bigger, more powerful alliance encroaching on what they, the Russians, considered to be their backyard. We should have known that, and we should have seen that. In fact, many people did see that and did know that and warned about it. And we should have paid attention to the Russian warnings, again, protracted, repeated over the course of many years. And we should have made some really sober, hard judgments here. None of this is an excuse for Vladimir Putin invading another sovereign nation, but the point is, our focus is supposed to be on our national security, on America first. And as we hear the Russians warning us over and over and over again about this eastward expansion of NATO and careless talk about Ukraine integrating with Western Europe and becoming a member of NATO, we should have understood the implications and then done the calculus. What are we going to gain from this, and what are the potential downsides? We used to do this kind of thing in the United States. If you look at the strategy that was employed in World War II, some very, very sharp gentlemen made very hard judgments and very cool, calm calculations. We decided we would ally ourselves with Stalin because we could deal with the Russians later, but the first thing we needed to do was defeat Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan. That's about as hard and calculating as you can get. We made a very conscious decision to pursue the war against Japan in the Pacific by island hopping across the Pacific, maximizing our control of the air, the size of our Navy, rather than putting American ground troops into China to fight the Japanese troops that were there then in very large numbers. That's the kind of strategy, calculus, and thought we need now, and we need to going forward. Again, I think that's probably the biggest lesson out of all of this. Let's not stumble our way again into a war that kills huge numbers of people, consumes vast quantities of treasure, and takes us to the brink of nuclear holocaust. Thanks for watching. See you next time on Ground Truth.